My name is Gedenji. I'm an architect, urbanist, policy analyst. Sounds very big, but in small terms, architects nyinyi wote mnajua. Urbanists, you're actually all urbanists because you're interested in how the urban fabric works. And when someone was presenting here, everyone could agree or disagree, meaning you can analyze how the urban fabric works. Policy analyst is the same thing as an urbanist. You can analyze urban areas, you can analyze policy. So you are also policy analysts. So tuko pamoja, labda mali tumeachana ni architecture. Sawa sawa? Haya, so let's go to the presentation. Yeah, the presentation is urban planning versus BRT. So why I'm saying versus is because they seem to be conflicting. Some people understand what urban planning is, others understand what BRT is, but where do these two things meet? Urban planning is the architecture of the city. You see the way me as an architect, I design a house. The urban planner designs the city. Why I've said there that urban planning is the motherboard is, if you've ever used a computer, you'll realize that every function on the computer is allocated space. So in terms of urban planning, the urban planner allocates space for housing, for factories, for schools, for hospitals, and you can realize that that motherboard actually looks like a city. So where does transport fit in all those categories of what the urban planner provides? The transport is the circuitry. The way the circuits on a motherboard connect everything is the same way transport connects the functions in a city. Okay, so now we go to the history of public transport. I had to do some history just to bring you guys up to speed to where we are. The first image there is what we used to have as matatus in the 1950s and 1960s. Before independence, people used to take their vehicles, put chairs in them, and that was a matatu. And they were illegal. And police used to chase you, trying to get you to comply with the licensing requirements for matatus. So, in 1973, after we got independence, Kenyatta actually legalized matatus, just as they were. No standards, no nothing. So the second image you see is actually a Ford vehicle. That used to be a matatu up to the late 1980s. Then they've evolved until the Nganyas that you see on the bottom right. That's a Nganya for 2000. So Nganyas began around 1990s there, when the velvet seats began, the loud music began, and the tinted windows and the fancy figures. Those began around 1980. And then, just to take the evolution very fast, the last image there is for the Michuki rules when they came in. They came around 2004. When Michuki now tried to bring sanity into the industry, he put the yellow line, the circles, the seat belts, the seat capacity, all that. So when the sanity was brought, something else that happened was, even before the sanity came, they tried to put some sanity during the Moi era. There was the KBS, there was the NYS buses. So they tried very hard to bring sanity into the industry. So now when you're trying to pursue sanity now, it's something that has been attempted before. We're just trying to revive what was there before and trying to do it better. So there were attempts at formalization, the NYS buses and all that, and obviously they were sabotaged because matatus can't compete with something that has order and that has government subsidies. So they require the chaos to thrive. I think it was Group 7 that was presenting the importance of chaos. Yeah, Group 7, thank you very much. You covered that topic very well. And then, if you realize something, we're on this slide now. If you realize something, what we have currently is, we have Nganyas, very highly developed Nganyas. But at the same time, we also have the Probox matatus, where people are still squeezing in. So history is not a clear, linear path. We are going forward, but we still have things that remind us of the past. So if you go to some towns, you'll find those Proboxes, you'll find Sientas, you'll find all that coexisting at the same time with the Nganyas, which means order is there, development is there, but still we're in history. Then now we go to the urban planning part now, why transport doesn't work very well. If you realize, when you have a city, you have the core part of the city, the CBD, the industrial area, the business districts and all that. That's where most jobs are. That is what you're calling the core. So the people who need to be closest to the core are the guys who walk and cycle. they're called the non-motorized transport people. The majority of the workers fall into that category. So they're the ones who should be closest to the core. This guy should be able to walk and cycle to his job. If he cannot do that, he should take public transport. And this public transport should not take him more than 15 minutes to reach work. So when you're planning this stuff, like we were taught in school, we were taught that the distance someone is walking should be half the distance the matatu is taking. And the distance the matatu is taking should be half the distance that the private car is taking. So the private car person should be living the farthest. But now we have something called an inside-out city. Who lives the farthest right now? Yes, exactly. Guys are in Rongai, Huko, Sijui Kitengela, Sijui Kikuyu. Those are the workers, they're living very far away. But now the guys who are supposed to be living close are the ones who have been pushed far. And the rich people, the guy who has a Prado is the guy who's living very close to the workstation. So there are different types of transport, yeah? What you guys are discussing called BRT is called bus rapid transport. It actually falls under mass rapid transport, BRT. Mass rapid transport means you're moving very many people quickly. So under that you have the buses and you have the trains. Then you have the non-motorized transport. I know I'm getting a bit technical, but this will come in handy later. So non-motorized transport is the people who walk, cycle, and maybe roller skate or even swim. Yeah, it's possible. If you clean your river properly, you'll be able to swim. But anyway, that's non-motorized transport versus mass rapid transport. So again, just to reiterate, slums develop when the people who are supposed to be living close to the city are pushed far away. So this guy has no option but to walk and cycle. If you deny him space close to the city, he will find space for himself. And that space is where your riparian zone is supposed to be, where your electricity well live is supposed to be. He will go there, grab that space, and form a slum so that he can be within walking and cycling distance to his job. So if you want to sort slums, first thing you do, put the worker close to the working place. Now, we come to how people move in Nairobi. If you look at it there, 40 to 45% actually walk. And then another 40 or so percent use public transport. Then between 13 and 15% are the people who drive. Watu wa maika? You're only 15% and the roads are designed for you. Yet, 80% of the people who are the maximum users of the roads are given very little space. If you see that photograph there, it's a photo of Thika superhighway. If you look at the space allocated for the car, that one there shown in yellow, it's almost 90% of the space. 10% of the space, you can't even see it from here. 10% of the space is allocated to pedestrians and cyclists. It's actually labeled there, but it is so small you can't see it. This comes because policy says in Kenya right now, the policy in Kenya says that 10% of a budget of highway building has to go to non-motorized transport. Which means first you have to find a highway to build, allocate to it a budget, and then take 10% and give it to non-motorized transport. Yet we have seen the 80% of the people. Why don't we do the reverse? Where we say 10% of the budget that you give to non-motorized transport goes to people for my car. Why don't we do the opposite? Yet 80% are the majority. Higher. Now we come to the juicy part. The BRT versus rail systems. I hope ITDP are here. Is there anyone from ITDP? Oh, okay. Now, why I picked this topic is because I'm not here to discredit BRT. I'm here to ask questions about why aren't we being told how BRT is meant to work. I have my former colleague here. Just stand up and introduce yourself.
Oh, sorry. Hi, my name is Rainier Hamala, architect.
Yeah, he's meeting people tomorrow to work on BRT Line 5. You just heard he's introduced himself as an architect. And in this entire congregation, so far we have 2 architects, 1 urban planner. And it is the job of the urban planner to do the motherboard. How comes it is the architects doing the motherboard, not the urban planners? That is point number 1. Point number 2, BRT versus rail. BRT actually developed in Colombia and Brazil because they were told to do light rail and to do metros and to do underground trains. And they said, no, that is too expensive. Let us do BRT. So that is where BRT came from. Now, you remember that diagram I showed you about the Thika Road lanes? ITDP, who are the ones who are pushing for BRT in Kenya, actually, yeah, there's a very important slide I need to show you. Yeah, this one now, this diagram. This diagram, ITDP derived it from that diagram from Thika Road. You see the many lanes. Now ITDP divided it this way. You can see lane 1 and 2 have been given to BRT. Already the central part of the road has been given to the BRT stations, like you can currently see on Thika Road right now. And then on top of the central part, lane 1 and 2 have been given to the BRT bus. So after lane 1 and 2 have been given to the BRT bus, 3, 4, and 5 are left to the highway. 6 and 7 become the service lane. Lane 8 becomes for the pedestrians and the cyclists. Now, where in Kenya do you have 8 lanes on one side? Where? Where are you going to get 8 lanes times 2 to get 16 lanes for you to get BRT to work? Hakuna mahali kuna space kama hii. Tuambiane tu ukweli. There's nowhere. Sorry? Where, Rongai? Oh, there's no space. There's no space like this. Yet again, we are being told that this is the way to make BRT work. Now, on top of allocating these 8 lanes for BRT, the central part, that central part, you can see what is there, yeah? There's a ramp there are stations there. It means every time this BRT bus stops, you have to go up on a ramp, you have to go up on a lift, you have to go up with stairs. So for every stop, you have 3 pairs. The pair of ramp and the ramp and the stairs at the center, or the ramp and the lift at the center, and the ramp and the lift on the edge and on the edge. So you have 3 pairs of all this infrastructure. How many pairs of that are you going to do to get the BRT to work? Let's not even count how much that will cost. I don't know how many people have seen the movie The Dictator. Yeah, there's a scene where the dictator goes for a race and he has the starting gun. He starts running, then fires the gun. So people have to join him when he has a head start. And then in the middle of the race, he turns back and shoots anyone who's coming close to him. And before he finishes, he's so tired, he starts panting and calls for the finish line to come to him. And despite all that, he says he's broken a record. In my opinion, that is how BRT behaves. BRT goes and colonizes 2 lanes of a highway, and then after it has colonized those 2 lanes and says nobody else should move here, I'm the one moving here. After it has done all that, it shows you a picture like that and says all these people are squeezed on one side. Look at how efficient I am. I'm the fastest mode of transport. To be honest, if you allocate a dedicated lane to anyone, they'll be the fastest mode of transport. If you put border borders there, they'll be the fastest. So there's nothing special about BRT. Now, why I was asking Rainier and the urban planner to explain to us how BRT will work is because it is already being implemented. But by a show of hands, how many people have seen the plans for BRT? You have seen them? You have also seen them. Okay, so 3 people in the room. And yet, this is a public transport project. Keyword being public. The public is supposed to know what is being done. So for years and years, we've been asking the BRT people to explain to us and show us the design of what happens when BRT reaches the nodes of Muthaiga, the nodes of Roysambu, the nodes of Githurai, the nodes of Ruaraka. Show us how BRT will behave. Now, this is not Roysambu, but I'll use it for illustration. All of those nodes I've named have an elevated road and a lower road. So, if the BRT comes, will it be stopping on the top road or on the bottom road? Where will it be stopping? And if it stops on the bottom road, it's going to clog all that area. If it goes above, how will people come from above and go down? Will you introduce staircases? Will you introduce a lift? And if you take it down there, it means that a market will form there every time a matatu or a bus comes to bring passengers to BRT and take them away. So you're creating another station at every stop. And wherever there's a station, there must be a market. Has that been planned for? Can we be shown those plans? Yes, next time present them. Actually, just put the online link there for those plans, for everyone to download them. Yes, we see whether they exist. They do not exist. Otherwise, Rainier would not be meeting someone tomorrow to design them. Higher. Now we go to matatus, yeah? There's a group that presented here and said how matatu inefficiency is a good thing. One thing that struck me is that matatus have never been designed for. The urban planner is here, he can tell you. Since the British left, no one has ever designed for matatus. Even since 1973 when they were legalized. No one has ever seen a properly designed terminus for matatus or a properly designed station for matatus. So first of all, there's no infrastructure for them. Second, there are no stations for them. That's why matatus stop anywhere. It is not their fault. You have not designed space for them. Urban planners, Constant being here, he can testify, they first design for cars. And then anyone else can find their own space. So that is what happens to matatus. The third thing, there's no scheduling for matatus. If I ask you right now if you want to go to a Kawangware, check on your phone and tell me when the next Kawangware matatu is coming. No one knows. That's why you go to town, you find people standing in the middle of Koja. They don't know when the matatu is coming. They don't know whether it will be full or not, whether it will obey the route or not. So no one has any plans of how matatus should work. Now, despite all that, matatus still manage to get most of us to work by 9 a.m. and most of us home by 9 p.m. And in my opinion, they're operating at 15% efficiency. What if we tweaked matatu to operate at 30% efficiency? What if we tweaked it further to 50% efficiency? Why are we spending billions on BRT and a trillion shillings on underground rail, yet it is very easy to spend a little bit on matatu, get them to 40%, sort everything. Now, the final point, the second last point. The second last point is about cross-town routes. Another major problem of matatus is that they come from the estate, come to CBD, drop people, pick people, go back to the estate. That is how they have been designed. But if you check the attempts at formalization that we were discussing earlier, the KBS and the NYS buses, they used to do something called cross-town routes. A cross-town route means you come from one estate, you cross CBD, go to the other estate. Which means you're coming from, the route I remember very clearly is from Eastlands. Number 119 bus used to come from Eastlands, it crosses CBD, goes to Westlands, reaches Kabete, turns back, crosses CBD, goes back to Eastlands. So, yeah, Jericho actually, Jericho Lumumba. So kids, like my older siblings, could actually walk to Jericho, take one bus, come to school to Westlands. Then in the evening, take the same bus, it drops them to Jericho. So the difference between matatus and the buses is that matatus now come to stay idle in the CBD. It has to stay there and say, beba, 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 until it gets full and then goes to the estate. So the bus just comes and goes through. The difference with that is that you clear the space in the CBD. Hakuna matatu inalala CBD. Matatu inalala huko kwa estate, where Rainier has just told us there's a lot of space. So and then mlale huko, and then you come to CBD on demand. Yeah, now the final slide there. How to make the matatus very efficient. First of all, the image I've shown there of the bus is an actual bus. It's called a Kayula bus. It is made by Kira Motors of Uganda. There are Ugandans in the house. Please. Shangilieni Ugandans. They are way ahead of us. Sisi, no, in all due respect, Ugandans are ahead of us. Yeah, I will justify. The difference between Ugandans and us, Ugandans are doing electric buses, while us, the highest and most richest people, are still investing in Ganyas. Why don't we take that money and do electric buses? So that is a Kayula bus. The argument in this slide is NYS should employ thousands of youth to build, operate, and maintain electric buses. It is very possible. So step number one, NYS builds, operates, and maintains the buses. What that will do, it will take away all the cartels of matatus. So no more matatu cartels. No more people telling you to wake up at 4 a.m. and go work until 9 p.m. and they oppress you. First thing it does, it takes away matatu cartels. The second thing it does, it takes away fuel cartels because it's an electric bus. So there's no more manipulation by fuel cartels. The third one is that it takes away traffic police cartels. Why would a traffic policeman stop an NYS bus? Yet an NYS person is a disciplined force person. Like they're already disciplined enough to maintain the bus and operate it. So there's no way a traffic policeman will be demanding bribes from NYS. Now, the last two parts of that slide. Second last part of that slide, it shows a phone. It means that you don't have to go and wait at the bus stop for the bus to come. You can literally look at your phone, see that I'll be going somewhere at 5 a.m. Let's say I'll be going to Rongai, and see which bus is coming at the desired time. Book that bus, get your seat number, go to the stage at the time the bus is coming. Why should you go and wait for the bus at the stage? So that phone will help you. Then the final part, that guy sitting on a comp, that is UIT gurus. You design this system in such a way that it's an open ledger system. So from wherever you are, not only can you book the bus, but you can monitor its movement. You can see which crew is operating it. You can see where it has gone for service, how much it has taken, how much revenue it has generated. Why would you be interested to do that? Because every coin earned by that bus is a rebate on your taxes. It means if government is making billions from the buses, it doesn't need to charge you taxes for education, for healthcare, and all that. So you have every interest to be monitoring those buses. So in a nutshell and in summary, that is how public transport should be done, in my opinion. Other opinions are welcome. Other views are welcome. Thank you very much.